you're the reason we're doing this. And Sue as well, Sue, who I met in Tesco, and we kind of, I just thought, do you know what, I just love this kind of work. There's something about it that makes me feel, it just feels like a nice way to connect somehow. And I also go through quite a bit of nervousness around it too. It's a strange thing, you know, and I still keep putting myself in for things, because I feel like there's something about that edge that's kind of exciting, or necessary almost, to feel that sense of aliveness. There might be something wrong with me to have some stress. But anyway, Lily, let's see. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking now, because you're my daughter, I'm able to do all this kind of stuff. No, I'm not really. I should ask you. Is it okay? Push your hair back. Okay. So what we're going to do, Maria is going to take a photograph of Lily from my angle, and we'll have the video of my painting taking shape. And we're going to send the link to the video and the photograph of Lily. And if anyone wanted to give it a shot after, why not? And send me the results. We could even set up a Facebook page or something to see everybody's work.
Judging by Anya.
Oh, stop, no judging. No. Have you watched any of my videos?
Yes, actually.
No. But I think it's lovely, isn't it, to see everyone's take on the same person. It's a bit like the show, really, the Sky Arts. You get to see a number of different ways of painting the same person. No, Lily, I think maybe if you were to put your hair behind your ear on your right-hand side, can you do that? There we are. So Lily's my daughter, for anyone who have not introduced her to. She's the youngest of my three. And it's a lovely thing that all of them have been willing to sit for me, for money, like. But it's a
time for something.
Would you stop it? Especially in my online classes, who keep saying, Lily, I hope you're getting paid enough for this, when, you know, on a live Zoom or something. And I'd be saying, you're well able to negotiate payment, aren't you? Doesn't need any kind of goading on there. I'm just going to put out some more paint here. And one of the things that that helps me when there is that feeling of you know, nervousness and things, is to get low to the ground, or just do anything like breathing maybe as well. But getting low to the ground helps me in this instance, because I feel like I'm kind of, you know, settling in, grounding somehow, and it's a good. It kind of has ended up being one of the things that I tend to do at the start of the demonstration, rather than be ready to get going. I still have things that I need to do in order to ease myself into the process of. Did I turn that on? I did. Yeah. We're at the Dalkeith Art Centre, I should say that, because it'll be on YouTube. And my name is Anya Devine, and this is my daughter Lily, who's modelling for a watercolour portrait demonstration here today. But yeah, so this is helpful for me to feel a little bit more settled to myself.
It's really interesting that, like, even with all your experience, you still get nervous, because there's a lot of people come to classes here and they start off saying, I'm really nervous. So it's useful for us to know that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good sign actually, because you're going to be breaking new ground every time then.
Yeah.
You know,
I think if you speak to anybody in the arts, any actor or actors, if the day they're not nervous is the day they give it up.
Yeah, I think it's true of actors and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think
thanks for
everybody,
that.
I think it's nervous energy.
I feel less kind of, you know, dysfunctional hearing that. But I do know, yeah, it feels like that's true. There's something about the improvised kind of thing that, and it's playful, isn't it? It's like an exploring and curious attitude, rather than I know what this is going to do. And you know, there is that as well. There is a type of art where you can do the step-by-step thing, and you know how it's going to, what the outcome is going to be, and that's lovely too. You know, it's just not generally how I like to work. I like to be surprised and to have that feeling of excitement in my belly around things. And I guess that's kind of feels a little bit like it's a good lesson for living, really. That desire to see things freshly and not have any preconceived ideas. It's easier said than done, isn't it? Sometimes that thing of not arriving with all the stuff you think about something. So I think I've got used to doing that with art a bit more than life. You know, coming freshly and not having all the, because I know that when all of it drops away, there's something cleaner and more true in the observing. You know, if I can come without any, so I don't think about any of this in advance, and then that's probably why there's this huge surge of like, shit. No, I'm here again. Jeez, oh my.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of coming here though, because you can forget everything else and you just concentrate on your drawing or painting.
Yeah, when you come yourself as a
on Friday.
as a member.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I was saying to
And
Lily,
you're
actually,
nice
that's
Saturday.
when I come. What was that for
Don't
you?
do that.
Maybe not externally.
Quite a lot.
I have, yeah.
How does that affect how you see
Yeah,
it?
I was wondering about that when as I was talking about not having any preconceived kind of ideas. But like, you know, Lily's not afraid to, I don't know, I feel like, I think,
She's not
There's-
always the same then?
no,
No.
in any second she's different. Like,
Ah.
isn't it true with
Isn't
all
it?
of us
Yes.
really?
Yes,
That, you know,
that's good.
in every second, and I think it's a lovely way to, I feel privileged to have the opportunity. I was thinking about this in the car on the way over. Like Lily, she'll be feeling sick hearing this. Children have an awful time with me sometimes with this whole thing. But I was thinking about it on the way over. I thought, I feel like it's quite a privileged opportunity I have to be with my children in a space of just silent attention. And it's not something that we very often have. I mean, I am paying her money to do it, like, but it feels like
Hope she washes the dishes
that
afterwards.
aside. Yeah, do you hear that? Lily? More of that now, yeah. Less of the kind of charge more. Am I standing right in the middle of the way there, Lily? If I stand here, you can see the painting. Now, feel free to move left or right if, as I'm working, you can't see what I'm doing.
Is that something you find quite important for your sitters, for them to be able to see the painting on the screen, or does it
I think.
not matter?
Well, what do you think, Lily? Do you like seeing the painting on the screen? She maybe likes to see the time. The time. Okay, a break is coming up. I'll soon be off the hook. I know Erin used to say that she liked to be able to see the time. Because I did record quite a few videos at home for I did an online course, you know, over lockdown. And from the living room I had this set up, you know. And my daughter found it quite good. Erin used to find it quite good to be able to see the time, and she would say, "Well, you know, you said it was going to be 5 more minutes, and it's now 20 more minutes." So she had the evidence in front of her. But I think I remember in art college when I was 18, I was going out with a guy at the time who used to model for me, and then I was doing oil portraits, and they were more meticulous. Like I used to stand up close and kind of try and get exactly the thing. So we'd be sitting for hours and hours, and I had a mirror behind me, and he was able to see the process of the painting happening, and that was something that he found, you know, made it a little bit more exciting. Hardly exciting, but you know. Yeah. I remember at the exhibition in college, I thought that maybe his dad might buy the painting, but he didn't. His dad was loaded, like. Anyway. Right. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, when Lily sat down there and just turned towards me, I thought, oh, that's lovely now. There was something in the kind of turn of the head that felt fresh and alive, and I love that she's worn her blue jumper. And it's lovely too that your hair is off, you know, it's not symmetrical, it's kind of behind your ear on one side and down on the other side. It's quite a nice thing. Just to have that slight, in fact I might even, can I bring some of this forward? Sorry. How about that? Just to kind of create something asymmetrical, so there'll be a length of hair here and her face and then the shoulder there. And it helps me to do this as well, to gradually kind of visualize the space that she'll occupy on the piece of paper in advance of touching it even. And I'll just get, again, my kitchen paper is here. And maybe what I'll do is put another bit of paper up there so that I can use it as a scrap piece of paper so that I can test the colours on there and show you what I'm planning on sticking up there.
And what kind of paper is it you're using on this?
So this is the Balkingford paper. Where did I put the tape there? I ran out of masking tape. So I'm using parcel tape. It's very unprofessional. I could pretend it's deliberate. Oh, could you? It's like gold dust in my house. I keep forgetting to buy it. And sometimes when you buy masking tape, it just doesn't stick, or else it goes all funny when you try and tear it up, and you don't know until you bought the rest of the stuff. So this is okay. I did a painting the other day and had the only tape I could find was the fragile tape, but it was really appropriate for that day. I felt quite fragile, so it was a self-portrait, and I actually painted a red eye to match the red on the fragile skin. So it's up on YouTube if you want to watch that and listen to my lamentation. Honestly, I feel like it's therapy for me sometimes. Look at this. Did you ask me a question?
Oh.
I don't know, should I persevere?
No, I think I'd give up.
Would you?
I was going to say anything, but I didn't hand it to you.
I put your mask
Oh,
on?
that's fine then. I
You
never
see,
see it again.
Controversial.
Good luck, because I couldn't find it.
Controversial.
Well, there you go.
Where will I put it? I think I put it here actually.
There again.
Ladies of the night looking for that, you know, haven't you?
I'm the best glamorous assistant.
You've got it hidden in a stash somewhere, haven't you?
It's the best thing, you know, having people like you guys about to sort everything, isn't it? It's amazing. Can you come home with me, like?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'd be delighted.
oh, God.
Yeah, we'll move into your studio.
Gosh, Lily, what do you think? You should see our house. Like at the moment, it just feels like I really don't.
Should we leave this?
Telling you all my secrets. It just feels like everything is cluttered. You know, sometimes you just get to the point where you want to move everything.
I've had that feeling as well, and it's the old spring cleaning. You feel like you have to do it, but you don't really want to. But you have to.
Yeah, it feels like I need to do that to create space for new things too.
Yeah,
In fact, the other morning I woke up and wrote down 5 things I wanted to keep, and everything else I would have put into a skip. And one of those things was a stone. Rock Lomond. You know, I just thought these are actually all I want in my life, these 5 things.
I hope Lily was at the top of your list.
Well, people are different now. Yeah, Lily and Hope and Erin are at the top of the list, for sure. Okay. Alright. So the next thing then, after kind of getting myself set up, and when I pretty much know I've got the height that I'm wanting the easel to be at, there's a fairly clear transition when I look to the model and look to the page. I feel like I can see Lily and see the board by only moving my eyes, so I'm kind of able to do that. Although I will be limbering up and lively, it's helpful to know that when I stop, I can see her and see the board at the same time. And once all of that is in place, the next thing that I naturally feel like doing, I think there's some sort of thing like, you know, like rugby players have this superstitious things that they do beforehand or something to warm up. And then I have a drink of water. That's the next step now, so I'll just do that. What'd you say?
It's a prepared gin, was it?
That'll be after.
Yeah, that's why it's so hilarious when you come back closet up front.
That's why the psychedelic Frida Kahlo, it's incredible.
I like it all. You're welcome to have more fizz if you want.
Oh yeah, there's Prosecco out there, is there?
Yeah, I'll be on me.
You're being welcome. That's it.
Okay.
Maybe we can,
Okay. That's a bit kind of flat, isn't it?
I presume you're painting in acrylics today, yeah?
No, I'm painting in watercolour.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's what I used on the programme.
alcohol free, orange juice, if anybody wants it. Maggie's got
I'll have alcohol free.
cringe moment for Lily.
You do a mini aerobics workout before you start.
Yeah, hates that. It's like the Taylor Swift, you know, shake it off. Shake it off. It really feels like an important part of the process for me is movement and not
Right.
dissipating, you know, really just shaking it off really beforehand. And then having a sense of movement about all of it. So, okay. I think actually it somewhat, this sounds a bit, maybe it's all diversion as well from the blank paper, but I will get started soon. But just, it feels to me too like there's something about moving from the shoulder, opening the chest. There is actually a TED talk about this, you know. A woman, Amy Cuddy, on a TED talk speaks about engendering confidence in our bodies and ourselves by standing like Wonder Woman for a minute with your hands on your hips like this before you have to do anything that feels maybe stressful. And there's something about opening the chest area that makes for confidence. You know that. I mean, it seems like a natural thing, also the victory symbol. So all of this now is lifting my feeling of energy. So I have no excuse whatsoever now. Okay. And the reason I moved, oh gosh, is that okay? It's likely.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and feel free to wander about. I've a tendency to kind of bring the paper a little bit closer to Lily as I'm painting her. And then is the paper still visible up there? Okay. Alright, so. Yeah, so. Good. This is where the laughter starts now. Oh dear. So, how are we for time? We're going to do our first 20 minutes now. What about that? Yeah. Is it 25 or 20?
Lily?
20.
We'll go for 20. Yeah. Hold your laughter in for 20
Money
minutes.
marks.
You're having a break.
Suddenly you're not the trade union for models anymore over there. Yeah, she's having 3 breaks, I'd say. Maybe. We'll see when we get going. Okay. Alright, so let's
Is
see.
this water you're putting on?
No, it's, do you know what that is exactly? Jackson's orange.
Right.
I take it that's not the no secco.
That is not the no second. Megan's trying to get me drunk.
I was thinking of something.
You want to know second, will you?
It's Jackson's orange.
You wouldn't let me.
It's Jackson's orange. It's a lovely colour. It's really nice, and I've got that one in there as a bit of a wild card. The rest of them are from Winsor and Newton tubes, but I like that, and it only came in the tablet when I was ordering it, so I just stuck it in there because it's a nice colour to kind of get me there quickly for the warmth of Lily's skin. It's a Jackson's orange is what it is. You know Jackson's online art supplies. Okay. And it's okay if you laugh for a while because actually in the beginning it'll just be you know, the general shape of things that I'm aiming for, so it's not critical that there's complete stillness. And you know, in this lark, you're your own cheerleader. You've got a voice in your head that says, good, that's it, keep going, that's right, keep going. It's okay, don't worry, be okay, keep going. And it's really another thing that I find useful in life, if I can remember that's
Positive affirmations.
available. Yeah, it needs to feel in it. That's why movement too is good, because it's not something that can really, I think it's something that's rooted in the body, that feeling of satisfaction and it's okay. And it's to do, there's something around perfection, I think, that can cripple us and paralyze us when we kind of feel like Delacroix, I think, you know, Delacroix, the painter, apparently he said, he who seeks perfection in everything achieves it in nothing. And that thing of rigidly pursuing a single goal as opposed to the creative act of allowing and see what happens. So I think that if we can find it, that gentle inner voice that says you're all right, you're doing okay, keep going, just keep the morale up. That's the main thing. I think it's the main thing in a lot of stuff, isn't it? Except when you're discussing stuff with your teenagers. Which you do really well. Okay. So I'm still working just with the Jackson's orange to find the shape of the skin where it meets the hair, like the edge of the face here. Lily, I just want to check, is it visible on the screen, the painting, or is it just all white? Okay, good. And as I move across the face, and there's a shadow of the hair cast onto the skin of the face there, I want to reduce the brightness, the colour of the orange. So I'm actually, there's a bit more green came on there than I wanted. Do you know what? I think that's hooker's green actually. I thought it was sap green, but it's actually hooker's green. Hooker's green mixed with the cadmium red. So sorry, the cadmium red looks like that. And those two together will give me a colour that I think will represent the shadow on the skin. So the orange was helpful for me there for describing the lighter skin area. And now, where the hair is casting a shadow onto the skin there. It's a bit dark, is it? I think it's alright though. And then you might maybe should put it back a little bit so that it's not, it'll probably drift forward, but we'll keep it back so we can see your lovely eyes. Okay. And then sometimes a shadow can be helpful because it can describe the cross section of the cheek, you know, that slight bump that's there is described by the slightly wavy shadow. Although I'm doubting myself as I look at it because I think it may be a little bit more dominant than anything else now, and really I don't have to go into that much detail with shadow, so I'll just leave that for a minute and find where the chin stops and the neck starts. So holding the brush like this, the paint accumulates at the bottom and helps me to create a sheer edge. And it's fairly fluid, like a brush, the bristles are wet all the way up to the metal bit. And then I touch it so that it's dry enough, then, you know, so the consistency of paint is like that, Mary. The consistency, and everyone here will get a copy of the video if you want to have a shot at painting Lily again. So the consistency is like that, it's staying intact, you know, it's not falling away into a pool at the bottom, but it is fluid at the same time. And we've got stereo videos, have we? Is that the right word? No. Stereo sound. Oh, very good. Yeah, you're very welcome to do whatever you like with it. So it's quite fluid, you know, the paint is and water is your ally here. And it also means that there's the possibility of freshness and newness, because water never takes the same route twice really. There's the element of chance. And one of my favourite quotes by Paul Klee is to make chance essential. It's one of the ways to keep that feeling of excitement in the belly, isn't it? When you know that you're not in full control, but you're directing, but you're not in full control, and maybe things will take a turn and you'll have to, you know, think outside the box a little bit. And I think you might find that breathing out is another thing that's really helpful to steady you down, and sometimes focusing on the out breath. Sometimes I feel like I focus more fully when I'm breathing out. And I'm going to say something that will be very embarrassing for Lily now. I am going to say it though, because I remember in labour, like having I had the children at home actually. I was really fortunate; they all went straight forward, and I remember focusing on the out breath. And I feel like here we're kind of giving birth to a painting, and there's something about the creative process, you know, kind of softly breathe your baby out. So I'm breathing her out again here. But there's something in that soft kind of effortlessness of the out breath, and that feels. Hmm? In the same position you are. So I've mixed, oh yeah, I didn't tell you there now with all that. There's the blue, ultramarine blue. I don't know, can you see it enough there? Yeah. Colours. And then this is Van Dyke brown. Now, some Van Dyke browns aren't as dark as that one. It depends on the variety you get. And Windsor and Newton have a good dark Van Dyke brown that I like to use. And I think that's Horizam or something, that one, but they're both dark. Some other ones aren't so dark. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think a dark brown and a dark blue. Ultramarine is a good dark blue to use though. Makes a good dark colour to represent the hair. And again, there's not an awful lot of pigment really, even although it's a dark colour, there's not a lot of pigment in the water there. So it's dark enough that it'll be darker than the skin and it'll make a clear impression. But when I stand back, I'll be able to see it, but then I can easily lift it off if I'm not happy with the position of the edge of it or something. So with my eyes half closed, I'm going to decide whereabouts I want to put that dark colour to begin with. Let's see now. Something like that. So where the hair sits behind the jawline, behind the neck, and then there's the hair that comes in front here of the shoulder. And of course this might change each time, but for now it's where it is now, and I'm happy to use it as a stepping stone to find my way. And it's kind of describing a bit the curve of the shoulder there. And the helpful thing about standing back is that it causes me to look at the full picture again. I'm just injecting a little bit of, I think it's burnt sienna, something kind of reddish anyway that I'm putting into the brown. Oh, sorry. In order, oh my God, that's I'm totally disturbed. Oh, sorry. I'll never be able to get my equilibrium back.
Oh, it made me jump as well. It's so loud.
But we've got a fair few interactions in our house, or what would you call them, disturbances in our house when I'm doing videos. Because we've got a dog who's like nuts, really. She's lovely, but she's a little bit unhinged, I think. Really, if you got one of them, to try, isn't it? I felt I needed maternity leave. She's all right.
She's a rescue dog, isn't it?
No, she's not actually.
Yeah, she was.
Meg was a rescue dog, her old dog, and she
Right.
was great. So I was duped into thinking, you know, I'd be grand with another dog, but of course we got the Maisie as a puppy, because Meg was very, yeah, she was very quiet, and Heidi used to love Meg, our mutual friend. But no, Maisie's from Tipperary, actually, in Ireland.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a bed little lurcher. We got her as a puppy. No.
Looks like so nice little hairy dog. Nice little hairy dog.
She is, yeah, very hairy. So there's a bit of grooming involved too. So I'm going to hold the palette up like a shield now, in order that I can put something else in for the hair, and you know, let chance again make chance essential, I suppose. We might even do it like that, because it feels like there needs to be something anchoring her down there. And then the colour that it looks like it is to me there is more yellow ochre. Now I don't want the yellow ochre to be mixed in with the reddish brownish mix. I had 3 colours already in that mix. So what I want to do is pick up some yellow ochre, which looks like that. And I'll maybe put some water in it. So what I'm looking at is this waterfall of kind of warmer coloured hair that falls on the front of the body there. And I'll just let that water move a little bit. Alright. Yeah, and feel free to ask anything away as you're
You see when you hold the shield up and you're flicking the brush, are you touching the edge of the shield to get the flick, or are you just put over your
No, that's a good question. No, I'm not. I'm just using it to stop the face from getting any paint on it.
and you're just literally
And
doing
then I'm
that?
just doing that, but it's funny because in the workshops I'd be saying, yeah, I should just give it a splash there. And it's interesting how we all have a different splash, like we all have a different signature.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, because people are finding that they're doing this for the first time in a workshop, and they've suddenly got this 2-inch brush where they've painted with sable brush in the past that might be tiny, and they have this weapon, and they feel like, no, there's a splash that comes from here maybe. And I'd be saying, and we have a lot of paint on the ceiling at the end of the workshops, but you know, there's something about, yeah, and that again I think has something too to do with the physical movement of opening and freedom. Do you know? It's like, so I think it's yeah. I don't know if I really do that each time, but there's a feeling of abandon about it.
Yeah, I love
You know,
Lots
it's good. It feels good. It feels like good medicine. And if you wanted to try it like outdoors yourself, just that thing. I think there's also, you could chuck kind of soft vegetables against the wall too. That's the same kind of feeling. Pears are really good.
We throw spaghetti at the back of the hob to make sure it's done.
Oh,
And if it
okay.
sticks to the wall, it's done. Or a splashback, I should say.
So you maybe have to do 2 or 3 tries depending on the day you've had. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to clean your kitchen after you've cooked.
I know. And it really, whatever works, isn't it? It's, there is something about that though, and it reminds me a little bit too of someone said about Leonardo da Vinci. Strange, isn't it? The kind of segues, but Leonardo da Vinci apparently said that a painting is never finished; it's simply abandoned. And I think there's something about that in every mark, that you can like just abandon that mark and leave it alone and move on to the next one. And if it needs to be left alone for longer, do something general somewhere else. And it's a bit like that in life as well, isn't it? Like if you do something and you go, Jesus, I'm not sure of that, leave it alone. And like, well, I'm not telling you what to do in your life, but I find it helps to sometimes just let the intensity of a part be alone and then move somewhere else and do something general somewhere different. I don't know. Yeah, I need to be kind of, I think to watch sometimes I think like I know everything about, and I really don't really. Your children will soon enough bring you back down to the ground. Oh God. Are you okay? Are you thinking you're needing a break now? How are we for time?
I might need to bring my specs on.
Another
Don't worry, whatever.
well, I think that maybe another couple of minutes maybe.
We've got 5 minutes
Oh,
left.
do you know that's a good idea to take stage photos? And when you're working,
Fabulous.
when you're working from, if you're, I should say it in here too for Mary. You know, when you're working on your painting of Lily, from the photos I'm going to send you, the people watching the video, consider taking photos of your painting as it happens, so that you can see your process after. And maybe you might see, as I often do, where I could have stopped, or maybe I could have enhanced that bit a bit more and left that bit alone. And it's all part of the mix. And again, there's a thing, I love The Artist's Way. You know, Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, maybe more for the quotes than even the 12 weeks of exercises. But one of the quotes in The Artist's Way is, a painting is never finished. No. Yeah, a painting is never finished. It stops in interesting places. And if you've taken photos all the way through, like you're going to do for me now today, you can then look back and see, that might have been an interesting place to stop. But sometimes even without the eyes, or, you know, you can often have something that's more complete and resolved early on, or that maybe has the energy of the immediacy of it is what you're after. And then other times you struggle through and it comes alive again, or not. You know, okay. I'm going to keep going until we hear an alarm. You know, within reason, unless it's broken. And what I'm doing here now is lifting off this, because, you know, I feel like that's dominant, that's coming forward more than I want it to. I want the hair to fold behind her face. It's a 3/4 view really that I have of Lily's face. And there's going to be a thinner sliver of hair here than I feel I've got. So I might even turn the board so that the water is going to assist me in moving so the water will assist the flow of the painting going that way. And it might then be a good place to stop. And I don't mind if there's runs go through the face at this point, especially before a short break, because it'll just bring again that feeling of, I don't really know what's going to happen. I want to be inspired by the surface that I'm painting on for the next move. I don't want to, yeah, so it's helpful to turn it on its side and to see, it's helpful to turn it on its side so that I'm no longer seeing the rigid kind of upright of it, and that there's something that happened that I'm not in complete control of. That colour isn't really lifting off very well, but I think it'll be fine once there's other colours layered on later that'll be darker. I think then those layers underneath will hardly be seen. And sometimes, like the finding lines in a charcoal drawing or something, it's quite nice to see the evidence of the drawing and painting taking shape, and to, at the end of it, to see the process within it, I think. And I feel like the shadows and things of the effort at looking and finding can bring life and illustrate the life that's here in the space around and in between. Yeah, so it's maybe a good time to just have a natural break. Just 5 minutes, like, so that you can have a little stretch, Lily, and you get back into that position again, won't you?
Right, take a photo before you
Oh
do.
yeah,
And that might help.
Really, yeah.
So when you're out doing
Can
the
I move
portrait,
this?
so you do the portrait artist of the year, did you get breaks and that, or was it 4 hours solid? Or did they stop?
Yeah, that's a good, I'd like to talk about that, but can we check that you're getting the same view? I think maybe it might be this way a tiny bit. Yeah, there you go. Because I want to get the smaller sliver of here and there, you know? Perfect. And they get breaks, yeah.
This one
People came and interested us and all the rest of it, but when I was painting the Easel that day, I had a really lovely interaction with Tyson Shermer at 11 o'clock at the break. And I was determined, he's lovely. I was determined after the first year that I wasn't going to be nervous, and I thought, one of the things that I do is not look at anyone else's work, do my own thing, have a chat with everyone else, and not deliberately not look at anything. And nobody actually shapes, like, and then I was waiting for my learning, and he said, oh, I'm saying,
Why can't you enter again? Oh, you got it right. I watch it. It's just good. You're gonna watch it anyway.
yeah, that's actually a set that I got out. Those three are mine, the final set with Rosemary and Coles. You can get them in 30 minutes between us. And that one is, I got it from my friend. After he passed away, his wife gave me all of his painting equipment. And I couldn't find these notes. I didn't know where to get it from. And then I saw them advertised. And after that, I was able to buy the range. There's one. It's about 15 years old.
That's probably about the wet Irish paint.
Yeah. Okay. So what should you know that?